From the octagon fire to the studio mics, tune in weekly, we're dropping the spikes, analyzing every punch, every kick that lands. Maniacs in the game, playing with fans' demands. Ken's got the insight, Joe's got the flair, mapping out the fights will take you anywhere. So grab your popcorn, buckle up tight.
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
What's up, guys? Back again. MMAniacs Podcast. Coming off that big card this weekend. Was it 322?
Yep.
UFC 322. Some surprises and some not so surprises. Our picks, at least in the main fights, kind of went 50-50, right? So we'll get into that card first, because then we'll talk about the welterweight division. But overall, what were your impressions with the card?
We might as well start with that first, right? I think Darusha might be near the end of his career, especially with how quickly that one went. And usually out of him, you at least see him put up a decent performance. He just kind of, it wasn't even that devastating of a punch to me. Is you didn't get the full body mechanics and all that. It looked just like a short hook to me.
Yeah. Honestly, I would have to agree. Like, he missed weight for that fight, so he didn't even cut all the weight. And then you do that. This is the ironic part, right? Why do guys do that? Like, I mean, there's a couple of reasons. First, because your opponent's killing themselves, draining themselves to make weight. So, if it's a fight, and this, this speaks to a larger issue in mixed martial arts, especially in the UFC. When you're fighting a contender and it's not a title fight where you absolutely have to make weight, right? You're starting to see more and more fighters miss weight and just pay the penalty out of their purse. But when you look at the statistics, it's like 80%, maybe even more of the time, the guy who missed weight ends up winning the fight. So it's like a worthwhile sacrifice, because the penalty, what's the penalty? Like Dana to you a couple times, Dana might say, okay, this guy needs to move up a weight class, right? But other than losing 20% of your purse, there's not really any punishment. And you have one or two times that you can get away with it before the UFC starts to be like, hey, dude, like, you know what I mean? So it's like, I really do believe I won't say all the time, but I believe it's intentional. And it's intentional for two reasons. One, you're not draining yourself like your opponent is to make weight. So you have more in the tank, right? You don't take yourself quite to that point of death. So your stamina is going to be better in the fight. And two, when you're massively dehydrated like that, what's the first thing that it takes away? Your chin. Like, when you're massively, think about this, and this is this is fact. This is scientific fact. Your brain is surrounded by fluid, which cushions the impact of blows to the head, right? It keeps your brain from slamming up against your skull and killing you or causing brain damage, right? So when you dehydrate yourself to the point of damn near death, some of that fluid it disappears as well, So it makes you more susceptible to getting clipped, getting knocked out. So by not cutting all that weight, you're sparing your chin. Now, I say all that to say, if Dariush purposely missed weight to spare his chin, then how gone is his chin really, dude? Like,
because like I was saying, that wasn't even anything devastating. It didn't even look like he fully got his hips turned. It just looked like a short little hook to just kind of be a part of a combination and down.
Wow. Yeah, but also, I mean, keep in mind, it's not you or me throwing a hook.
Oh, yeah.
You've got a professional UFC fighter. Like, they hit a little harder than we do. So
Yeah.
even those short check hooks hurt, dude, and or can knock you out. I'll give you a perfect example. I mean, the greatest example. And granted, he's an outlier in a sense because nobody has the power that he does. Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria doesn't have to hit you with a full-on extended straight right hand to knock you out. You saw that left hook he hit Charles with, knocked him into next fucking week, dude. Like, and it was a short hook. It wasn't like some winging haymaker of a hook. It was short, tight, right on the chin, dude. So, I'm not going to say that it was a weak punch that dropped Dariush. I'm just going to say, Dariush's chin is probably gone at this point, and he should consider hanging it up. Like, you had a respectable career.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you didn't win a title, but you were a contender for a long time. You have some notable wins on your resume. Don't tarnish your legacy by sticking around and getting 3 or 4 more bad knockouts, dude. Like, it's time to go, especially 10 seconds into the freaking fight. Dude.
That's what I couldn't believe. That, yeah, okay, maybe he gets knocked out, all that. But I expected more out of it because most of his fights he's at least competitive with.
Yeah, Dariush. But again, Dariush is old. He's got a lot of mileage on him. He's not just old. He's got a lot of fights, man. And, some guys, they get their chin cracked in one fight, right? Like, and then their chin's never the same. Other guys, it's like, they have a chin for most of their career. And then at some point it just, and you can't even pinpoint the moment that it goes, but you can only pinpoint the moment when it's gone.
Yeah.
Right? And I think we hit that point with Dariush where his chin is just gone, dude. But what did you think of the overall card?
I was relatively impressed with it. Now, granted, some fans might not have liked it because there was a lot of wrestling involved with the card, but you got a mixture. You got a couple of decent knockouts in it. You got the wrestling. I think as a full MMA fan, you got to be happy with it.
Honestly, dude, I thought this was one of the more impressive cards lately. Like, you got 3 out of 5 knockouts. You got 3 finishes, and that was just on the main card. There was a ton of knockouts on the undercard too, like finishes. But I mean, Prodis and Leon Edwards, that was an impressive win, man. Like, Prodis is on his way, dude. And who does he fight for? Fighting Nerds. So Fighting Nerds are rebounding, dude. Like, they had a bad couple of months with Jean Silva and Hoofy and
I was going to say,
losing their fights.
To be fair to Pratis, he wasn't part of that bad month there.
No, he wasn't. He won. In fact, during that time when they were on their little losing streak, he was the guy who kept winning. So I'm not ready to change my opinion that I think at least one of the Fighting Nerds will be a champion in the next year to 18 months. I think Pratis is on his way. He might end up getting the first title shot of that camp. Knocking out Leon Edwards the way he did was very impressive, but I'm going to throw this caveat in there. Leon Edwards is a top 5 contender only in name at this point. Like, he had a great run. I mean, he had the upset of the century by knocking out Usman in the 5th round with that head kick when he was down 4-0, right? And then he, it's like, people could say, oh, well, that was just a lucky shot. But he came back and he beat Usman in the rematch, which to me, that cemented his championship credential, right? It's like, okay, no, he's really the champ. He took the immediate rematch and he won. And then, eventually he lost, and he lost, and from that point he's just kind of been losing, and I think Leon should probably consider hanging it up at this point. I don't see a return to title contention in his future.
And especially when you had the super memeable moment that happened in the fight of him hanging off of Protez's back there, hitting him with the shots, and Protez just looks like a disappointed parent. Like, come on, that right there just absolutely, I think, cooked him.
I think the better meme was when he got knocked out and his eyes were wide open like this, and he's like, "Yeah, I mean, like what the fuck just happened?" Like, yeah, that's a meme, dude. But I mean, let's be honest here, right? Leon is in his late 30s. He's probably on the downside. I would say definitely on the downside of his career. The options for him are pretty limited. Like he's not going up to 85. He's not cutting down to 55 at this late in his career. He can either retire, and which I would do with some dignity, and like you retire now. Hey, you're a former champ. You beat the Usman when he was on that insane streak. Like you still have that rub. You still have a little bit of that shine, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the longer you stick around as a gatekeeper and the more losses you take, the further away you are from that shine, right? So I don't think Leon's hurting for money. Like he had a few title defenses. He made a few million. Like he's not starving. Even with taxes and everything, he's probably got a couple million. He headlined a couple pay-per-views as a champ, so he's probably got a couple million in the bank. If he was smart with it. I think it's time to hang it up.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't argue with that because referring back to Durish, how we were just talking, or Darush there, that how we were just saying that you've got now a highlight reel type of knockout against you at the end of your career. How many more do you want to add to it?
And that's the thing is right now, and this is why my decision, or my it's not my decision, it's Leon's decision, but my advice to him to quit, to retire, is partially based on the welterweight landscape. I mean, you look at that top 10 right now. Who realistically in the top 10 can Leon beat at this point? I mean, let's go through the top 10. We might as well, right? So Jacked Out Della Maddalena is probably going to be ranked number 1, even though I don't really think he should be at this point. So you got Della Maddalena. Who's number 2? Bilal?
Yep.
Bilal Muhammad. Is Leon beating Bilal? No. Leon already lost to Bilal. He lost his belt to Bilal. Number 3 was Brady, but Brady just got knocked out, and we're going to get into that a little bit too. So he probably drops. Do you have the updated top 10?
Yep. I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, so why don't we read that off? Let's just read off the top 5 first.
Yeah. Well, we already got 1 and 2. 3 is Michael Morales.
Wow,
4,
he took Brady's spot. Okay.
Yep. 4 is Shavkat Ramanov.
Mm-hmm.
And 5 is Carlos Prates.
See, that's a good top 5. I'm glad that they didn't. There was a lot of speculation that they were going to kick Shavkat out of the top 5 because of his inactivity. Mm-hmm. But I don't really think that's fair. Like Shavkat, I believe he's never lost a fight. He had 1 decision, right? His decision win against Ian Machado Gary, but he's finished every other fight. Like I feel like he deserves to be in that top 5, and I would have been disappointed if they'd kicked him out of there. But I'm glad that they found a way to squeeze Morales in there and Prates, but still keep Shavkat in there. So in that top 5, who is Leon beating at this point?
None.
Okay, let's go 6 through 10.
Ian Machado Gary,
Mm-hmm.
which no. Sean Brady, Carl Usman, Leon.
Well, Usman, maybe. He's already beat him twice.
Yeah, he that might be one of the guys he just has the number of.
Yeah.
And then
so 9 is Leon?
Yeah, and 10 is Joaquin Buckley.
No, no. I mean, he might be able to like win a point fight against Buckley because Buckley is a very strong striker,
Mhm.
but like Leon is very technical and he's a very technical striker, and he's good at hitting and not getting hit for the most part. But and we'll get in. I know you're like, but what just happened? Like, we'll get into that. Like, because Prodis, it wasn't just that Prodis landed a lucky punch. Like, I'm sure you broke that aspect of it down, right? Like in that Prodis fight, why he was able to land that straight left hand that knocked Leon stupid. But yeah, at this point, there's nobody in the top 10. Maybe Buckley, but that does nothing for you because you're number 9. So you beat the number 10 guy. So you go up to what, number 8? Now it's like, what are you going to do? Like, there's nobody in the top 10 that I'm putting my money on Leon over right now at this point. So you might as well retire, dude. In my opinion, take your your legacy. You had a great career. There's one fight that I would like to see, however, and they should go ahead and put it on the undercard at the White House card. Leon versus Jorge Masvidal. You're looking at me like, why would you want to see that fight? Okay.
Yeah, because
So-
I don't remember Jorge right off the bat.
Jorge Gamebred Masvidal. He's the one he fought Nate Diaz for the original BMF belt.
Oh, okay. Now I know who you're talking
Okay.
about.
There's a reason though. These two have history. You see, Leon, so Jorge was doing an interview. This was about 5-6 years ago, at least. Jorge was doing an interview and Leon came by. At the time, Jorge was like really coasting off that shine from that Ben Askren knockout, right? That flying knee knockout. He was still soaring high on that, plus the Darren Till knockout. Leon at the time was a contender, and he was trying to fight Masvidal. He was like, he walked by and said, "Hey, why don't you and me fight?" And Masvidal was like, "I'm doing an interview, man. Like, you're over here. Like, that's rude to interrupt my interview or whatever." So Leon walked away, but he kept talking. Masvidal walks up on him and then hits him with the 3-piece in the soda on the way out. Like, for real, like they're in each other's face, and all of a sudden Masvidal just fired on him. Boom, 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 boom. Like, hit him with a 4-piece and then 3-piece and the soda. As Masvidal says, he's like, I gave him the 3-piece with the soda and then glided out, like, so it split Leon's face, his eye. He busted his eye or his cheek. And Leon's been wanting to fight him ever since. But when Leon won the belt, all of a sudden he was like, fuck Masvidal. Like, I'm not giving him a shot at the belt. He doesn't deserve it. Fuck him. Like, so the heat kind of died down because Leon was like, now all of a sudden, because that when Leon won the belt, all of a sudden Jorge was like, oh, let's fight. And Leon's like, fuck you, like, so Leon didn't take advantage while he had the belt, but now Leon doesn't have the belt. His welterweight prospects are pretty much nil. It's like, you might as well take one last fight, cash out, right? Because that would be a big fight. Like, it would do numbers because Masvidal has a following. There's the animosity factor, right? It's a grudge match. So, and it's a fight that realistically Leon could win. Leon is a very good technical striker. Masvidal is an excellent striker too, but I just feel like that's a fight Leon could win, especially because Masvidal's been retired, hasn't really been active. He'd be coming back out of retirement essentially. It makes for an interesting undercard fight. Or if they wanted to make it like the 5th fight on the card, like the opening fight on the main card.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you could realistically put it any higher than that because it has no implications for titles or anything like that. But it'd be a fun grudge match, right? I mean, if we're gonna do McGregor versus Diaz 3, we might as well do Masvidal and Leon too. So yeah, enough about Leon. We're talking about the welterweight top 10, right? And you have so Brady just lost in impressive fashion, by the way. Oh my, he got destroyed, dude. Like Morales is no joke.
Oh yeah. The way he was able to keep him at the perfect range, at the end, right at the perfect end to hit his punches, was getting the absolute most out of him with pretty much each and every punch, and the amount of I'd say body control into it, to where you could sit there and see that these weren't just shots that were kind of just there landing. This was shit that was coming from the mat, and he fucking was hammering them with them, and that overhand was just nuts.
Snipers, dude, sniper shots. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he wasn't shooting them with a pistol. He was shooting them with a sniper rifle, dude. Like long range, bop, bop, bop. Yeah, it was a very impressive win for Morales. And you know what? You gotta. I mean, well, you don't have to do anything, but for me, I kind of feel bad for Brady a little bit because he was on this super impressive run. He only had that one loss to Bilal. He was like literally, he was in the talk for title shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
He decides because they're Islam is getting the title shot. He decides to stay busy. He fights down the rankings to do the UFC a favor, right? And he gets Morales. And Morales comes in and just wipes the fucking floor with him, dude. Like, now Brady is all of a sudden what, number 8?
7 or 8. Hold on, let me look real quick. Yeah, 7.
So now, and he's coming off a loss, which means he's going to have to fight down the rankings next, right? So he's either going to end up fighting Leon or Usman or Buckley, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then just to be able to fight up the rankings again. And fighting up the rankings again, we just read those rankings. There's not an easy fight in that top 7,
Nope.
man. There is not an easy fight in there. So, and for different reasons, right? He already lost to Bilal. So Brady, he basically, in one bad decision, took himself out of title contention and put Morales right in there. So that leads me into a question for you. It's a 2-part question. Part 1, whose victory was more impressive for you? Protas over Leon or Morales over Brady? And part 2 of that question, based off of that, who deserves the next title shot? Or it could be neither of them, but like I'm just saying, the odds are based on what we're hearing that one of those guys could be the Islam's first challenge.
That's a hard one because they're both gaining a bunch of steam with the past few fights that they've had. Granted, Morales is undefeated and all that, but man, I almost want to say, because logically, just because of the rankings, you'd say Morales, but I almost want to go with Protes just for how entertaining he is, and he's making me a little bit more of a fan of him. Granted, he's pretty much the fighting nerd that I know the most, but I see, because this is a hard one because I like both guys with this, but I think I might go Protes.
So just go out, like, whose win was more impressive to you? Like, take it all into account, not just the way that they won, but like the level of opponent, the time to finish them. You know what I mean? Then ranking, all that stuff, taking all that into account. Which win impressed you more?
If we're taking all of that into account, I might go with Morales because he was fighting a guy coming off of a massive hot streak. But I think if we're going for which one was more impressive with the way he dismantled him, I got to go Prates. It's such an up in the air one to me, to where if I heard either one of them announced, I'd be happy with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is
But
why
I mean,
I asked that question, because it's a tough question to answer.
But
they
you
were
give
both
me gun
very
to my head.
impressive.
Yeah, you give me
Go
gun
ahead.
to my head. I gotta go with Prates, at least for now, even though Morales is very entertaining in and of himself.
See, my thought process is this. I think Prates' win was more impressive in that he finished him with one shot, and then that because that follow up that really wasn't even necessary, dude. But he decided to give him he gave him the one piece, he gave him the chicken breast, and then gave him the cornbread on the side. It's like he really didn't need to add the cornbread, but he decided to give him a little slice anyway. Whereas the thing that draws me back for Prates is that Leon is kind of a shadow of himself at this point, but he's still a former champion, and it's not that long ago that he was the champ. Realistically, Bilal lost the title in his first defense. So a little over a year ago, Leon was on top of the world. He was the champ. Maybe a little more than a year ago. So
yeah, just a few months over a year, but yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't that long ago Leon was on top of the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Brady was on a good run. And Brady was ranked higher. And I think the UFC, by putting Morales at 3, I think they're basically saying that they think his win was more impressive.
I could see that, and especially with what you were saying, that Leon hasn't looked the greatest as of late. Granted, like you said, not too long ago, a year, that he was the champion, and that, but Brady was on that tear, and it seemed like they were trying to position Brady to go and be the headline type of guy challenging for the fight. And Morales just came in and said, "Nah, I'm taking that spot."
He went and stole all his momentum, all his hype, dude.
Mm-hmm.
So my heart is leaning to Prates, because I like Prates. I like the Fighting Nerds, and it was a super impressive win. But my head tells me that it was Morales, because he beat a higher ranked contender, and Brady, Leon is on the downward edge of his career, whereas Brady is still a contender. Brady will bounce back from this loss. Trust me. Brady will be in the top 5 again. He will have another chance. He's just too good of a fighter not to. Right? He just ran into a buzzsaw. I mean, if you fight enough guys in the top 10, there's going to be somebody who's going to beat you.
Mm-hmm.
The margin for error at that level is so small. It may not even be that the guy is necessarily better than you. It might just be he was better that night. There's that one half a step this way that you shouldn't have taken that caught, you get caught. The margin, it literally comes down to that for victory. That margin of victory, that margin for error when you're fighting top 10 guys. And even more so with top 5 guys. A half an inch can mean the victory or defeat, the difference between victory and defeat. But that shot Prates landed, though, oh my God. Because what he did was excellent, dude. Leon is a southpaw, right? So Leon is naturally a southpaw. So what I believe he's a southpaw. Can you look that up real quick?
Yep.
But Leon can switch, right? He can switch. I think he is, because he hit Usman with the left kick, the left head kick with his left leg. So I'm pretty sure he's a southpaw. But Prates, what he did is he kicked the legs.
He's a southpaw.
Yeah. So he kicked that front leg, that right leg, and he forced Leon after a couple of those kicks. As soon as Pratis, this is how I know it was intentional. Like anybody, everybody uses leg kicks, right? But Pratis used the leg kick specifically for that moment, for when Leon would switch to orthodox, because the second that, like, as Leon's feet are moving to switch to orthodox, Pratis is throwing that straight left, that lead left hand. Like, it was like he set it up perfectly. He used the leg kick, and he landed a good one, and Leon's like, ooh. So as soon as Leon goes to switch, as his right leg is moving to the back, because think about this. If you're switching stances, you can't sidestep. You can't, there's no real, he caught him in the process of switching stances, dude. It was perfectly executed. It was really smart, technical move.
Oh yeah, that's where it comes down to precision timing at that point, because you constantly hear, at least in the boxing aspect, of how important the footwork is for a fighter, and when you're sitting there like that, switching your base of your stance, which is why I'm personally not a big fan of switching stances. But when you're getting the shit kicked out of your lead leg, you kind of almost have no choice. But most of the time, you're not going to get a guy that's just going to snipe you while you're in the middle of that. Most of the time, you'll be all right switching a bit. It's just going to be okay. The strategy is usually okay. I'll take his power hand away from him a bit and force that to be his lead hand, to where it was okay. Well, no, now I'm going to knock you out the second you start moving, or at least start the knockout process.
Yeah, like he had that time so well that Leon didn't even get to finish his stance change, his stance switch, before that left was already on its way down the pipe, dude. And there's no defense, dude. There was no defense. So we talked about the undercard, or I mean the young, the fights that were not the main event. Let's talk about the co-main event now. Valentina versus Zhang. Go ahead, because I picked.
This is the first time on the show that I have had to eat crow, and let me tell you, the crow that I got to eat for this one might as well be a damn turkey, because holy shit, did Valentina put it on her. She showed that there is a massive difference in their quality of their ground game. She absolutely dominated her in the wrestling aspect of it.
And I mean, so look, there was a lot of people that were unhappy with that fight because Valentina was on top for 18 minutes, didn't really land any significant damage on the ground. So they're like, oh, it's a lay and pray. It's a lay and pray. We're tired of this shit. Those people don't know what the fuck they're actually watching. I just got to say it, because I came away from this fight, like, you've heard me all the time. I never once downed Zhang Weili. Like, I've always given Zhang massive respect. She's one of the greatest fighters in the world, hands down. And we already knew that she was a tremendous grappler, right? Tremendous grappler. I actually came away from this fight, where she got dominated, even more impressed with her grappling. Because those butterfly hooks that she was using in the first 2 rounds was frustrating the shit out of Valentina. She sat there. Valentina kept trying to pass, and she couldn't pass. Why? Because Zhang had those butterfly hooks in, and Zhang's butterfly hooks were some of the best butterfly work I've seen in MMA. Like, a lesser fighter, Valentina would have passed instantly, and she would have got on top and started raining ground and pound. The butterfly hooks were amazing. They were frustrating the shit out of Valentina, but Valentina eventually managed to get past those, right? She improvised in the 3rd round. She got past those butterfly hooks, and then it became something, even even more dominating. But also, people only see Valentina laying on top of Zhang and they bitch. Oh, it's a lay and pray. It's a lay and pray. Not only is that an insult to Valentina, that's an insult to Zhang Weili because I don't see, and this is the thing, take it from somebody who actually trains. Like, people don't understand the level of skill that it takes to be on bottom like that for 18 minutes and to not have a single real hard, significant strike landed against you. Like, you're in a vulnerable position against a tremendous grappler. And let's not act like Valentina has always lay and prayed. There's been several fights where Valentina has won with a crucifix. That's one of her go-tos. She likes to crucifix you and then elbow your face until the ref stops the fight. She almost had Zhang crucifixed, but Zhang managed to get the arm out. And so it's insulting to Zhang. Like, you're not giving Zhang the proper credit for what she was able to do. Like, anybody who understands what they saw, what they were looking at, that was two of the greatest grapplers in the entire world basically nullifying each other in a sense. Like, Valentina was stronger. She was able to control Zhang. She was able to keep her. Like, Zhang's defensive grappling was so good that it prevented her from getting beat up on the bottom. She wasn't strong enough to push Val off, right? But she avoided any real damage. And so does that make it a lay and pray? Like, do you think that Valentina does anybody honestly believe that Valentina didn't want to finish that fight?
Well, most people want to sit there and finish. Granted, you do have some that are okay winning off the scorecard, but most people are going to want to, especially with the implications that this had for legacy. Yeah, it's awesome that she won, but it would have been a hell of a lot bigger capper that she finished her.
Right. And so that's what I'm saying. Do you think that Valentina was unaware that it would be much bigger if she finished her?
Yeah,
And she, of course she wanted to. I guarantee you she wanted to finish her. But what was Valentina not going to do?
Put herself into any type of risky situation because Zhang Weili's a motherfucker.
See, and this, again, people, you're absolutely right. But these casual fans that are like, just fucking bang, bro. I just want to see him throw punches. It's like, dude, you don't understand what you're watching. Like, you go watch bare knuckle boxing if you want to see two fucking meathead Neanderthals punch each other in the face. You want Rock'em Sock'em Robots? Go buy Rock'em Sock'em Robots. What you saw was one of the greatest grappling matches I've ever seen in my life, dude. Like, Zhang got dominated, absolutely, 50-45, which is impressive. I mean, come on, dude. Like, even on paper, like, even if you want to call it lay and pray, have you ever seen Zhang get 50-45 by anyone? That's impressive enough, right? That she 50-45'd her, bro. Zhang didn't win a round. There was not a single round. See, and this Zhang is a great champion. It's not like the judges were being biased here. That tells you that domination was so thorough that there was not a single round that the judges were like, I could throw this one to Zhang, you know? There was not a single round where she made a convincing case that we could give her a pity round. We could give her a 49-46. No, dude. That's how thorough the domination was. But on top of that, Zhang managed to go 5 rounds without getting any significant damage. And this is the other thing that really irks me about the people bitching about this fight. And yeah, I am a little passionate about it because obviously I'm a Val fan. I wanted Val to win for her legacy, right? Truth be told, and you know, it seems to be a big secret, Val actually outstruck Zhang. Can we pull up the significant strikes for that fight? And I'm not even talking about the ground strikes. I'm talking about on the feet. Val outstruck Zhang Weili.
Yeah, significant strikes. Valentina is 41 out of 68. Zhang Wei Li was 32 out of 98. That puts it at a 60.3% for Valentina and a 32.6 for Zhang Wei Li. That's impressive.
How many head strikes?
Uh,
Do you have the body breakdown? Like the
yeah, no, hold on. I gotta get to that one. Hold on, I probably gotta go on here for it.
dude, like that. Yeah, that we're gonna put this to rest once and for all, dude. All these people bitching about lay and pray, we're gonna put this shit to rest. Because Val didn't just wrestle, didn't just beat her on the ground and lay and pray. Like she outstruck that. She outstruck Zhang.
Okay, yeah. Val's was at 51% of the head, and Zhang Wei Li's, her strikes were 41% against the body, 31% against the leg, and 28 against the head.
How many total strikes against the head did Val connect?
God.
That's what I'm curious about.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for because it's not giving that part of the breakdown. Oh, okay. 21. She had 21 strikes against the head versus Zhang Wei Li's 9.
So when we talked about this fight before the fight happened, what did we say was Zhang's path to victory?
Keeping this on the feet and just beating the shit out of her.
Because we both agreed that Zhang had a tremendous power advantage, right?
Yep.
So what did Valentina do? She actually, I mean, to land 58 strikes, that means that they were standing. You watched the fight. They were standing for the first minute and a half of every round, right? So, like, sometimes even more. Like, so because she had 18 minutes of control, let's say in a 25-minute fight. So they had 7 minutes of stand up. And in 7 minutes of stand up, Zhang was able to land 9 shots to the head, and none of them were significant. Other than that very first punch that she landed, which Val took a couple steps back and was like, oh, okay. Like she seemed fine. She ate it. But
I was going to say, Val's a very good technical striker.
what was Val doing, though, that was so successful in that striking?
Oh, God. I was going to say, I'd have to rewatch it to say exactly, but if I vaguely remember, it was giving her very little of a target to go for and constantly staying on the move.
She stayed on the move. She got in, got off, got out. She didn't get into any crazy exchanges, right? By the time Zhang, like she would get in, she would fire like a jab or a 1-2, and by the time Zhang was firing back, Valentina was already out. And so she completely neutralized her offense, her whole striking game, completely neutralized it. So this is why I'm saying this, because to sit here and say that it was a lay and pray and a boring victory, boring fight, no, dude, no. Valentina didn't just win because she took her down. Valentina also won on the feet. And this isn't just a Glaze Valentina session, because Valentina's corner deserves a freaking tremendous amount of credit for that game plan, dude. That game plan was, I mean, half the credit for the fight, in my opinion, at least, goes to the corner, to her coach, her training partners, like for having that game plan. The other half is, you can have the greatest game plan in the world, but if you can't implement it, if you can't execute it, then it's for naught, right? So
Mhm.
Valentina gets half the credit because she executed that game plan, and her coach gets half the credit because that game plan was flawless. She essentially neutralized every single one of Zhang's strengths. I mean, do
Oh,
you
yeah. Yeah,
disagree?
no, absolutely not. While I was watching the fight, I just had the feeling of while I was watching it that it was okay. What point in the round is Valentina going to take her to the ground? Because it wasn't on an if she's going to be able to. It was all right. When's it coming? Because as much as we all know how much I like Zhang Wei Li, there wasn't a moment in that fight where I had the okay, she's going to be able to come back if she does X, Y, or Z. Besides just her punching power, if she landed one clean, sure. Besides that, Valentina had it the whole way.
Yeah. So immediately after the fight, I was on the Reddit MMA board, and a lot of people are like, well, that's why there's weight classes. There's weight classes for a reason. Like immediately discounting Val's win as if like it didn't matter. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Zhang Wei Li weigh in at 125 just like Val did?
Mm-hmm.
They weighed in at the same weight. Now, am I trying to be sneaky here and ignore the fact that Val probably had a weight advantage going into the fight? No, Val had a weight advantage. She had
Mm-hmm.
to because she's a natural 125er, right? But was weight the only reason she won? I don't think so. I suppose somebody could try to make that argument, but you would have a hard time convincing me. So let's finish this off because I do want to talk about the main event as well. Where does this place Valentina in the GOAT conversation?
I was gonna say I'm giving it to her as the GOAT with this because we were talking about before that if she was able to pull this off, this is the capper here. That I think that kind of does it.
So you think she's surpassed Amanda at this point?
Yeah, I was gonna say she's got a hell of a record.
Yeah. See, it's a tough one because Amanda was on paper, Amanda was a 2 division champ, right? Bantamweight and featherweight, even though we all know the featherweight division didn't really exist. It was just that belt was created so that she could fight Cyborg. But and Amanda finished a lot of her opponents. Her run was extremely dominant. She was knocking bitches out every fight. Like, you know what I mean? She had a very dominant, almost like a reverse Ronda Rousey run. Remember when Ronda was like armbarring everybody? Like she had like a 7-fight armbar streak where she was just killing bitches. Amanda was doing that on the feet. But Amanda also has some embarrassing losses. Like Amanda's losses, she's been dominated in all her losses. She lost to Kat Zingano, got fucked up. That Juliana Pena loss, not a good look. Not a good look. Especially you come back in 50-43 the next fight, like, and then look at what happened with Juliana and Kayla. Like, it's not a good look. Not that Juliana is a bad fighter, but she's nowhere near the GOAT status, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's a former champ, former 2-time champ. But yeah, no, dude, she's not anywhere near the GOAT status. So when have you ever seen Valentina get embarrassed? Would you say that loss to Alexa Grasso, where she tried the spinning kick and Alexa took her back and was able to choke her? Was that an embarrassing loss?
Embarrassing? No. Stupid? Yeah.
Stupid, yeah. She made a stupid mistake,
Mm-hmm.
but she was in that fight. Like that was she was actually winning that fight up to that point, right? That happened in round 3, and I believe I had given her both rounds before that. She was up 2-0. And she made a stupid mistake. So the reason I say that is because it's not just about your wins, it's also about your losses, right? Valentina Okay, Sledge. On paper, yes, Amanda beat Valentina twice, but did she really win that second fight? I don't think so. I and about 50% of the MMA community believe that Valentina should have got the nod in that second fight. Was it close? Absolutely. That's why we're having this conversation. But I felt, and 50% of the MMA community felt that Valentina deserved the nod in that second fight. And in fact, in making my argument, I count that as a win for her. And I think having the win over Amanda in that second fight at bantamweight, then having the two separate title runs that she's had at flyweight, and then the capstone with Zhang. I agree with you, Ken. I think Valentina is the GOAT. A lot of people are going to disagree, though, and I guess Sledge is obviously one of them. And that's fine. We don't have to agree, right?
Mhm.
But one thing that drove me nuts is like all this hate for the Valentina Zhang fight when the main event was exactly the same, wasn't it? Like, but people are glazing Islam's nuts. Like, oh, dude, he's the greatest. Oh, what? The greatest grappler of our what? But they're gonna shit on Val, but they're gonna glaze. They're gonna glaze Islam.
Well, to be fair, I have heard people talking shit too about the Islam fight because of the old lay and play fucking wrestle fuck strategy there of them. But you can't argue with the domination of it. We were sitting here talking about leading up to this fight here, how Jack Della Maddalena, he's improved so much with his takedown defense and all that, and yeah, it worked great against Bilal, but it didn't do shit against Islam.
No, and see, this is where we were talking about it. We were talking about it last week, right? That I was the one. My pick was wrong. I thought that Jack training with Craig Jones and how he looked against Bilal, I thought that would translate in that Islam wouldn't be able to take him down, and I was completely wrong because Islam is just a different animal, dude.
Speaking of that, did you see the shit that Islam talked about Craig Jones?
A little bit of it.
Yeah, he was pretty much saying that your jujitsu ain't that great. You should come over to Dagestan and train with us for a couple of years.
Yeah, well, Islam has the luxury of saying that because he won the fight. The winner kind of gets to talk all the shit they want. But
Mhm.
in a straight up jujitsu match, I would take Craig Jones over Islam. In a straight up jujitsu match, Craig Jones is a fucking animal, dude. He's an animal. If you ever get a chance, I know it's not fighting, but go watch some of Craig Jones's jujitsu to his no-gi grappling performances, dude.
Mhm.
He's You'll see shit that you're like, I've never seen that before in my entire life. Like buggy chokes and shit. Like he does crazy shit. Um, yeah, Craig Jones is a monster, dude. But I was wrong. Like I was right on Val, but I'm not gonna lie, like every time they got into those stand up exchanges, I'm sitting there like, ooh, move, Val, move. Bitch, don't stand still, dude. Like I'm telling her, bitch, you better move your feet.
Oh, yeah. That is one thing I can't take away from Jack Della Maddalena there. Is his submission defense was outstanding because Islam almost had him probably 5 to 7 good times in that fight, and each and every one he was able to get out of.
Yeah, and again, that's training with Craig Jones, dude. Like
It,
Islam, and
that's
this
a
is
hell of
credit
that's a
to
hell.
Islam. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say that's a hell of a thing too because we've seen Islam finish quite a few guys with
And
submission.
that leads into what I was going to say, which is that Islam was definitely trying to finish that fight. Like
Hmm.
Islam, and that's one thing that I'll give Islam. Like he's not a lay and pray guy. He takes people down, and he's trying to finish
Hmm.
constantly. And Jack, it's the same as Zhang. It's the same situation. Like Jack got dominated in the takedowns, but his defensive grappling kept him from getting finished. Where 95 to 99% of the other fighters in the UFC are getting finished in that position, dude. Like Islam, if he's on your back for 5 rounds, dude, if he's on you for 5 rounds, he's gonna figure out how to finish you eventually, you know. And he couldn't finish Jack. So I don't think Jack has anything to hang his head about, man. Like, you lost to a superior grappler, yes, but your grappling was on point, dude. It's just, what can you do against Islam? Is a force, man. And it's time to give him his flowers, dude. Islam is a force. If you haven't already given him his flowers, like, in my opinion, I think he's better than Khabib. I think with this fight, he surpasses Khabib. Not just like Khabib. I think Khabib is a better grappler, but overall fighter, I think Islam, because Islam has better stand-up. Islam's won 2 titles. That's a huge difference, right? Khabib was a career 55er. Like, Islam had the guts to go up to 70 and take on a tough challenge and pass it with flying colors, man. Now we'll see, because Islam has a boogeyman out there calling his name, and he doesn't seem to want to talk about it. You know, like, they asked him, dude, like, what's up with Ilya? And he's like, well, I want to defend my title at welterweight. I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. I'm sure you fucking do, dude. Like, and you know, Islam has a chance at welterweight if he can go on an impressive title run, because we just talked about like how stacked that welterweight top 10 is. Like, if Islam can get 3-4 defenses in, dude, in that top 10, that top 5, that's ridiculous, dude. Like, that he has the chance to cement himself possibly as the greatest pound for pound fighter of all time. Possibly.
Yeah, but he's got to fight Ilya to be able to get that full title.
Bro, I think he's made it perfectly clear at this point that he doesn't want to fight Ilya, dude. Ilya's going to have to chase him up to 170.
Oh,
I think Ilya will.
I was going to say, do you have any doubt that he will?
I think he will. But the thing is, Ilya's got to, they were talking about, that's what we were just saying. We agree. Welterweight is full of interesting matchups. Ian Machado Gary presents an interesting matchup. Bilal, they probably won't fight because they're friends. Mm-hmm. You got Shavkat, which, can you imagine Shavkat versus Islam? Give me that fight, dude. Give me that shit, because Shavkat's really only chance at victory is on the feet.
Do you want to see this right off at the beginning, or do you want to see Shavkat get that tune-up fight first before this? I
would like to see Shavkat get a tune-up first. You don't just go right into Islam coming off an injury, bro. Not unless you're dumb, or not unless the UFC is forcing you to. They're like, well, if you want the title shot, you got to take it now. You know, like, obviously you're going to take the title shot if it's the only way it's offered, but I would like to see him get one fight under his belt, make sure that his knee is good before he goes into the Islam fight, you know? And I think because of his inactivity, it's fair to ask that. It's fair to ask for him to fight another top 5 guy before he gets the title shot. I'm okay with that. I'm cool with either Pratis or Morales getting a title shot. I'm also cool with, let's see, who else is in that top 5? You had Morales, Pratis is 5, Shavkat's 4, Morales is 3. Actually, there really isn't, because you got Bilal at 2 and Jack Della Maddalena at 1, and I'm not in a hurry to see that rematch.
Yep.
Unfortunately, it's that time, though. We want to thank you guys for joining us. Come back next week. We'll get a little more into this welterweight landscape, and we'll also do a little speculating about, how many fights does Ilya take before he just says fuck it and goes up to 170 after Islam, dude?
Or does Islam put on his running shoes and say, you know what, it's been a good career?
Man, he would tarnish his legacy forever if he did that. But stranger things have happened, dude. Hey, thank you, Sledge, for watching. Come back next week, man. We'll see you guys later.